What'd you do?
As both of you boys know, because we were recording this a day late, it was mine and my lovely's 5-year anniversary yesterday. So both...
yeah.
Thank you. Shout out to Amelia. She's obviously the number one fan of this show. But both her and I are absolutely stoked that our number one sponsor is Nut Care. Proudly Australian, Nut Care is taking down under grooming to the modern day man. Recently voted number one by Men's Health magazine with Bare Nuts pubic hair removal cream. Nut Care is revolutionising male grooming for men, as we all know now. As proud sponsors of Any Given Sunday, Nut Care is offering 10% off their first order simply by using the promo code Any Given Sunday at the checkout, and all discounts will be applied. Nut Care, essential grooming for men, which we all can enjoy.
Nice. Congratulations, mate. That's huge.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Essential grooming for men that the ladies can enjoy.
Yeah. Hey, all the men.
Yeah.
Everyone can enjoy. Everyone.
Brown 45! Brown 45! Hot!
You are listening to Any Given Sunday, Australia.
Yes, hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, the number one podcast in at least 3 households, 1 studio, the Gridiron Australia headquarters, Winnipeg. And I reckon after yesterday, we're pretty big in Kentucky too, Danny, just so you know.
Absolutely
joining
huge.
us, absolutely, it will be huge. We'll get onto that soon. But joining us, as always, is our ever reliable down his basement, down in the places that we don't talk about, at Tim Cardy, AGSAU. How are you, big dog?
Very good, Macca. Just in the middle of Panda Watch, as you boys know. So my beautiful wife, we're expecting a child at any moment. So it could happen mid-episode. So keep watching. You never know.
Yes, we will hear the phone go off.
Might get the knock on the door. Out I go.
Out of there. But we'll adjust, we'll adapt and overcome as we always do.
That's right.
We've also got our junior boy turned senior boy at Danny Webb, AGSAU. I always appreciate you having it down the bottom corner so I can actually read it. How are you, mate?
I'm fantastic. As you can see, rocking one of the new half zips. It's absolutely fire. They are flying off the shelves. We have opened our merch store, which we will post a link to. Well, we've done it on all our socials, but we'll post a link at the bottom of the YouTube clip as well if anyone wants to jump on. Any support is greatly appreciated. But yeah, we've got some great gear on there and we've got some more coming.
Yeah, so we've got the winter range kind of out there at the moment. We've got the half zip, we've got the hoodie. Timmy's got a version of the hoodie on at the moment, one of the hoodies. We've got some long sleeves, but we're also, do we want to talk about the shirts that we've got coming or leave that for a future?
I think so.
Yeah, announce away. Let's pump.
Well, Danny, you're the brains behind it. What have you got in store for us, mate?
So we're going to be releasing, we're probably going to be releasing them bit by bit. We're going to be releasing the version of the shirt that Tmac has on, but in your favourite team's colour. So we're going to be releasing 32 different T-shirts with your team colours, so you can rock any given Sunday and support whatever team you support all at the same time, or rock another team.
And yeah. Danny Boy's mocked up a few of those for us that we've been lucky enough to look at, Macca, and they're absolute fire. Like some of them look really, really good. So like the teams that have those brighter colours and stuff, geez, I definitely want to get a few other teams' colours.
Oh no, that's I've said to Danny that it's going to send me broke because there's so many teams. Like even the Kelly green that we've gone with for the Eagles looks absolutely like crisp, and then we've got like Miami with those few brighter colours, and the Panthers they look so good. So it's going to send me broke, Danny.
It's going to be great though because we can rock it because they're just a nice colourway, and no one really has to know that you're supporting the other team.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I got a New York Giants t-shirt in the drawer, and it lives in the drawer. I can't wear it. Can't bring myself to wear it. But if it's a New York Giants colour. Rocking any given Sunday, by God,
AGS, baby.
I mean, that's a pass. That's a definite pass to wear it for sure.
AGS all day.
All day.
Yeah. We had a pretty big interview yesterday that I ended up running by myself due to some things that didn't quite go astray. And obviously, Cardi, like you said, you're on baby watch. We didn't announce during the episode, but you obviously know it now. Jordan and Wilson Berry. So Jordan, obviously the most recent Minnesota Vikings, Pittsburgh Steelers punter. So that was huge. And Wilson's making his way through the University of Kentucky as a punter. So that was a great chat. You listened in, Danny. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, so I was unfortunately I was stuck at work, but I managed to listen in to the whole episode and like hearing the two boys story, like the level of commitment, and especially what Jordan did, like coming over, like as one of the first Australian punters over there to really like make a big splash. It was incredible to listen to this, like his perseverance and like him paving the way for everyone as well. And it's going to be really interesting to see what Wilson does in the next couple of years and if he can take that next step as well.
Yeah, he's definitely in that mold of the punters that the NFL actually like, where we seem to send them over and they do really well, but there's not quite the NFL punters that we want. But Wilson's definitely in that. Having the older brother obviously definitely helps, and having a few connections as well. So we've got today. You're got more. No, we've got today. We'll move on. We've been talking a little bit of dribble. We got our AFC North preview. So obviously the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, and the Steelers. Again, we've rotated around. I always forget. What do we start with? Am I starting with last year's schedule?
Yeah, we'll start with last year, and I've just got a little bit of a recap, which I'll just run through because obviously two teams made it to the playoffs. So I'm just going to run through the whole of what they did last year, and then we'll jump into
little divisional recap.
Whole divisional recap.
I like it.
Strap in. All right.
So the Cincinnati Bengals took it out for the second consecutive year at 12-4. The Ravens were 10-7. The Steelers for their 19th season above 500.
1600.
Were 9-8, and the Cleveland Browns finished at the bottom of the division with 7-10. The Bengals, like a lot of people might think that the numbers are odd, but it was because the Bengals face Buffalo Bills when the safety Damar Hamlin went down when he suffered that cardiac arrest, but thank God he's all up and well since that. So, yeah, that game was suspended, and then days later that game was actually cancelled. The Ravens beat the Falcons late in the season to clinch that wildcard spot. Then the Super Wildcard weekend, the Bengals actually faced the Ravens at the Bengals' home. And the Bengals defeated the Ravens with a score of 24-17, with most notably the play that Tyler Huntley fumbled the ball and then Sam Hubbard recovered the ball and ran a 98-yard scoop and score to defeat the Ravens, which was absolutely huge. And you saw him.
Big boy touchdown.
Love a big boy touchdown.
He was blowing.
He was absolutely blowing. Which is actually the longest return fumble in NFL history, which is pretty incredible.
That's cool.
Then the Bengals and the Bills had a rematch at the Bills' home stadium. Despite the home field advantage and there was a lot of heavy snow, the Bengals were able to upset the Bills with a score of 27-10. Josh Allen threw a timely interception, which wasn't good. So the Bengals managed to take away that one. And then for the second consecutive year, the AFC Championship was the Bengals against the Chiefs. And there was such a tight game. I don't know if anyone saw the end of the last episode of Quarterback or second last episode of Quarterback, but it kind of reminded me of what actually went down in that game. But I'm
not there yet.
You already know you idiot.
So, yeah, it was actually a really timely penalty of Joseph Asai pushed Mahomes once he had already actually crossed over the sideline.
That's right.
There was very little time left in the game and actually managed to put the Chiefs in field goal position, and the Chiefs managed to kick that field goal. Otherwise, we're going to overtime. So it's a super tightly contested game. And that's how the AFC North wrapped out, with the Bengals going home and the Chiefs going on to win the Super Bowl. So they were very, very close.
Yeah. Well, you've definitely wrapped that up in a nice little package. So it's on to me and you, Cards. We'll do you've got the ins and outs. We'll do them team by team, and I'll talk about their schedule going forward. So why don't you pick who we're starting with, mate?
Well, let's start at the top. We'll go with the Bagels.
Righto.
How do you feel about that?
Yep, I'm happy with that.
As we like to say, our good mate Maxie. It's Maxie's Bagels.
Yep.
And we were just having a bit of a chat off air. They've kind of managed to pretty much hang on to everyone. Definitely on the offensive side of the ball. That receiving core of Chase, Higgins, and the likes, Jones. They're hanging around. They're going again. They're filling up again. But on the defensive side of the ball, in the secondary, they lost the two cornerbacks, Eli Apple and Trey Flowers. And then Jesse Bates the third and Von Bell, the two safeties, they've also gone. So just looking at their draft, and what we like to do in these apps, we just kind of look at each team's sort of first three picks. So in the draft, they've taken with their first pick in the first round at number 28, Miles Murphy, a defensive end. And then in the second round, they took DJ Turner, a cornerback, so kind of hoping to fill one of those gaps left by the two cornerbacks leaving. And then their third round pick at number 95, Jordan Battle. He's a safety out of Alabama. So obviously looking to sort of help fill those voids left. And I think from the 2021 draft, they kind of had a couple of guys in the secondary there that, they had a few starts that will be obviously looking to step up into that starting position. And then just a couple of key additions. They've added Trevor Simeon, quarterback, obviously to sit in behind Joey Burr. Irv Smith Jr., he's a tight end that they've added in, and also Orlando Brown Jr., an offensive tackle, which they did have a few problems on that offensive line earlier in the year. Joey was just getting sacked
heaps of sacks
too often. You sort of heard their offensive line described as a bit of a sieve sometimes, so they were just able to get to Joey way too much. So they're kind of shoring things up there. They moved a few guys around in that offensive line as well, just to try and shore things up. So obviously looking to load up and go again. Like they're poised for another run at a Super Bowl. So that's sort of where they're at with the main ins and outs.
And Joey B was saying that he was loving getting hit. It was making him play better. He loved to get hit at the start of games, and then it would make him play better. But I think any quarterback would love to not get hit and still play well.
Yeah, exactly.
Orlando Brown, that's huge. He's come over from the Chiefs, I reckon.
From the Chiefs, enormous. Massive.
I remember I think that was a pay discrepancy as to the reason why he left. So the holes that they need to fill, especially deep, those safeties. And it sounds like those young rookies might be getting a bit of game time. Like, that's huge for them.
Well, that's what will be happening now with those more experienced guys leaving. The guys that sort of had those 6 to 9 starts last season and that, they'll be looking at probably starting most of the year.
Yeah. It is huge. The Bengals are bringing, like you said at the start, bringing back so much consistency. They've been so close to the top. They went to the Super Bowl in 2021, then the AFC Championship in last season in 2022. Like, they're right there. They're like chomping at the bit to actually get there, and to only go down to the Chiefs by a field goal, then you would have been taking on the Eagles. And who knows what could have happened in that game? Could have been all the Bengals' way.
Absolutely. Before I get on to their key schedule matches that I've picked, we have to mention C2C Rare Threads. They are the sponsors of the first half of this preview. They are huge for us. They have enormous range of gear as well as shoes. Their sneaker range is huge. And as we mentioned last week, they've adapted their code to now allow for the sneakers too. So any given Sunday is a code. It's on any purchase. It's not just the first purchase, which is also huge by them. So any given Sunday, C2C Rare Threads, you can find them online or on Instagram is probably the easiest place to find them. So go to our Instagram, you'll find all of our sponsors and it's straight to them. And yeah, they're huge. But the Bagels, I've picked 3 huge games, I believe, for them going forward. Their bye is in week 7, so a relatively early bye. But then they've got back-to-back. They've got they're at the 49ers, and then they're at home to the Bills. So that's week 8 and week 9. They're pretty huge games, obviously. And then you said that game against the Chiefs. They've kind of built up a fair rivalry against the Chiefs, and you've seen that in the quarterback that Mahomes said. He come out and said that I want to play the Bagels. I want to play them. I want to beat them. So they got them at the Chiefs in week 17, which will be a huge game, I think. So they're the 3 at 49ers, home to the Bills, and at the Chiefs. If they can win 2 of those, then they'll go a long way to clinching this division.
And that, like they did say in quarterback, they were calling Burrowhead for a long time until obviously the Chiefs took it out in that last matchup. But so the Burrow has a great record when playing Mahomes.
Yeah, I should also mention that this division's playing the NFC West and the AFC South. So they're the 2 divisions that they're going to be playing.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Next card.
Yeah, that week 17 matchup, that could be another little preview of the AFC Championship game. So,
which would be huge if they can go back. If they can go back 3 years in a row. If they can go back 3 years in a row to the AFC Championship, same teams. I love that. I love a modern day rivalry. Bring it on.
Yeah, it's
hell
awesome.
yeah.
That's every bit of a rivalry too. There we go. Next, the Ravens.
We are going to roll on to the Ravens. So obviously they come in second in the division, made it to the playoffs. And as Danny said, went down to the Bagels ultimately. The biggest addition, obviously, the signing of Odell Beckham Jr. from free agency. There'd been a lot of talk, and there has been a lot of talk about the Ravens have never drafted is it a Pro Bowl wide receiver? I don't think they've ever drafted or something along those lines. Like they just haven't ever been able to hit in the draft with their wide receivers. Obviously, they've traded people in and stuff like that, but obviously adding the class of a receiver like Odell Beckham Jr. is huge. Getting a weapon for Lamar, who obviously the other big story of the year, finally signed his contract extension. So trying to get some weapons in for Lamar there. They also drafted with their first pick at number 22 in the first round, Zay Flowers, the wide receiver out of Boston College, and he had some really good college numbers. So you could probably expect him to get a fair few targets probably this coming season. Their second pick, which was in the third round, number 86, Trenton Simpson, a linebacker from Clemson. And then their third pick in the fourth round, pick 124, Tavius Robinson. What is he? I think he's an O-lineman from Mississippi. And they're just some key departures. Kenyon Drake, the running back, Demarcus Robinson, and Sammy Watkins, the wide receivers. And Josh Oliver, tight end, has also departed during the off-season there.
Not huge outs, bigger ins than outs.
Not huge outs, not massive names, but just guys, that in that wide receiver position that they've obviously looking to add that weapon of Odell. Like the biggest story is obviously adding Odell into that wide receiving core there.
Would you say that Lamar didn't play much really last year, did he? So
round 14,
he's almost a
14 was his knee injury.
Yeah.
And I think since Lamar started, they're 46-16 with him playing, and then 4-8 when he's not playing. So the record obviously speaks for itself when Lamar is in. They're a much better side, and there's all the narrative about Lamar can't throw and things like that, but that's just.
Well, that's going to come to fruition this year, isn't it? Like, he's got the weapons now. He's still got Mark Andrews, is still going to be his safety blanket, but he's got Odell. He's got Zay Flowers, which has huge raps coming out of, was it Boston College, you said? So he's got the weapons around
looking
him.
at their depth chart, they've got him as a number one wide receiver as well. So huge raps on Zay. Obviously going the first rounder, he's going to be pretty good.
Well, so I don't know they've had a massive upgrade to their wide receiver room compared to what they had last year, but they also haven't all played together, all been on the field together. And then Lamar Jackson's health is obviously always going to be a massive question, which will always come into it. His
mindset though, but now that he's got that money, I reckon his mindset will change.
Yeah. So, what is in how much he's going to play?
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like he'll be more durable now that he's got the guarantee.
There. You can kind of focus in a bit more, and their defense has always been pretty solid. They were only ranked 26th last season or something, but they were third last year in scoring defense, which is huge. So to be able to score from your defense is a massive thing. But their defense is always pretty solid, and they've brought in Roquan Smith from the Bears last year. So he was in last year, but their passing yards per game before he joined were 266 yards, and then after he joined, that dropped down to 201 yards. So huge impact immediately once he's joined. So that definitely helps shore things up on the defensive side of the ball as well.
And was J.K. Dobbins, was he injured last year?
He missed a fair portion. He was coming back from the knee injury. Because the year before, they had the 4 running backs or something that all got knee injuries. So it was all on Lamar's shoulders, where at the back end of last year, Tyler Huntley was the QB, but they had the running backs coming back. So just getting that continuity again back, like you said, just getting them playing together. So the first, 4 to 6 weeks might be a bit scratchy. But after that, the back end of the season, they're going to be absolute lightning. But everyone keeps saying about how Lamar can't throw, and but he's the only QB. I can't remember how many years it's been, but last year against Miami early on, down in Miami as well, he was the only QB to have a 75-yard rushing and a 75-yard passing touchdown in the same game. He can do it. It's just he needs the weapons around him, and he's got them this year. So it could be a big year for the Ravens, and if it's not, then it's I don't know. There'll be a lot of questions being asked if they don't live up to the expectations, I think.
Yeah, and because Odell obviously wanted to go to a Super Bowl contending team, and he made that very clear. It's either go to a Super Bowl contender or I'm not coming back. So with him wanting to go there, he obviously believes.
Yeah, remember when he was like, "I'm not going to be playing regular season games.
I'm just going to play.
I'm only showing up for the
from
playoffs.
round 14 onwards. I'll play a couple.
just to warm into it. But
yeah.
He's a weird unit, but good on him. He's like you said, he's picked a team that everyone's and they had that phone call, him and Lamar. So it seems like they've already got a bit of a relationship going. So it could be. Yeah, I think it could be good things for them, but we'll see what happens. As far as their schedule goes, they got a week 13 bye, so on the back end. So, like I said, there's good like pros and cons for that. But the 3 games that I've picked for them are actually the 3 of the last 4 games. Week 15, 16, and 17. So they're at the Jags, which could be a big game, especially if Trevor's going well. At the 49ers in week 16, and then home to Miami in week 17. So those 3 games, I think, at the back end, as leading into playoffs, can really either crumble them or launch them into the playoffs.
It's a pretty solid run coming up into playoffs, and that's going to give you a good indication of where you're at, for sure. Yeah, some really tough games there, potentially.
You like, that's the tough part. Like, do you want to have tough games towards the end of the schedule, or do you want to ease around into playoffs? Do you want to be trying to be playing your best football before the playoffs, so when you do go into the playoffs, you can continue and build on that? Or do you want to like a nice cruisy run so you're almost resting, making sure everyone's healthy?
I reckon we talked about this a bit during the year, Macca, and like there's arguments for both. I think I'm in the camp of good, solid hit-outs. Like
I'm in the same camp.
Yeah.
Like, how many times do you see the team, you see it in the AFL as well, coming off the bye, they're just not quite, they're just missing a beat or something. And it's the same if you've got an easy beat to finish the year, I reckon. It's just not quite where you want to be.
I think if you're coming off those solid hit-outs, like you're so finely tuned and like you're in the zone and you've got momentum and things like that, like I think that all plays into it for sure. And
you can get injured in an easy game, you can get injured in a hard game, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly.
In that way, so yeah. Steelers or Browns, mate?
We'll have a look at the Steelers. We'll stick with how everyone finished off the year.
Were they third, were they?
They were third, yeah. Did you listen to Danny's rap at all?
Yep, I did.
Or have any idea what happened last year without even listening to my rap?
No, it didn't happen in Green Bay. It didn't happen at all.
Yeah, right. So going through, having a look, some of the key departures, not huge names. Well, I didn't know too many of these guys, but Benny Snell, running back, Malik Reed. Who else have we got in there? Devin Bush, Miles Jack, and Robert Spillane, all linebackers. Cam Sutton, cornerback. I might have heard of him before. So a few outs there, but I'm not sure how many big names out.
I think Miles Jack would be the biggest name there.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, and admittedly, like I'm not too familiar with the Steelers roster. So then just some key additions. Allen Robinson, wide receiver, coming in. Who else did we have? Patrick Peterson, cornerback, Nate Herbig, and Isaac Semualo.
Danny Special.
The Raven Clark. Yeah, so, Keanu Neal, safety. I'd heard of him. But, you're kind of seeing a balance of, the same sort of guys in and out.
Yeah, again, I think bigger ins than outs. Yeah,
for sure. In the draft, they've taken with their pick in the first round at number 14, Broderick Jones, an offensive tackle from Georgia. Joey Porter Jr., quarterback, Penn State, in the second round at pick number 32. I think there's pretty big raps on Joey Porter. And then another Keanu Benton, defensive tackle out of Wisconsin, also in the second round at pick 49. There were the Steelers' top 3 picks there. So, yeah, admittedly, I don't know their roster too well. But I kind of thought you could kind of class TJ Watt as maybe a bit of an in, just with how much of the year he missed last year.
Was it a pec or something he missed with?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a pec. I think he tore the pec or...
Danny straight on it.
Ripped the pec. I'm kind of classing him as an in. He's such a huge part of their defense. And, he is the defense. He's like that game wrecker kind of player. So I'm classing him as a bit of an in also.
I don't know if you saw the Instagrams. He's just been spending time with brother JJ too, just honing his craft on a golf course, weirdly enough. But they were out there, cleats on, no shirts, on a golf course. Yeah, but it is huge. And, he is already a game wrecker, and that 20.5 sacks last year, and like he's only going to be up, I reckon. Like he's pretty much breaking all the records that JJ set. So, do you have it there, Danny?
August 20th, he suffered a torn pectoral, which he had to have surgery for.
Yeah, so he missed a good chunk of the first half. He definitely came back.
Yeah.
But yeah, he missed a good chunk of the year for sure.
Yeah, and absolutely. That's the defense just sets it up for Kenny Pickett to, especially being so early. Like you're not going to be an elite scorer that you are in the back end of your career. So he's got another year under his belt, Kenny. But I actually picked 4 games. They've got the week 6 bye. But I went with that early mindset. So I felt like they had a tougher run towards the back end of the year. But early on, they've got week 2, they've got the Browns. Week 3, the Raiders. Week 4, the Texans. Week 5, the Ravens. And then into the bye. So if they can get, 3, if not 4 of those wins, you think the Browns and the Ravens being divisional games are always tough. I think that at Vegas, so that's going to be a tough one for them as well. And you're just not quite sure. We said with the Texans that you probably want to get them early before they start getting a bit of a rhythm. So that week 4, whether they're starting to gel yet or not, they might be able to get on top of them. But if they get into the bye and they're 4-2 or 4-1 or 5-0, like they're going to be going a long way in this division. Like it's been so tight over the last few years. So yeah, I think the back end of the season will be tough for them.
A lot of that depends on how Kenny Pickett improves, because he threw 7 touchdowns to 9 interceptions last season. So obviously that's not the best ratio. He did throw for 2,404 yards. So as long as he continues to improve, like on the projection that he was, because towards the back half of the season he was playing better. As long as he continues to improve and the weapons around him also start playing well and they get their continuity, they do have a chance to definitely improve.
Yeah, I just got a note here. Just out of the 4 of them looking through, I reckon they had the easiest schedule as well. So,
yeah, I noticed that when I was going through and trying to work out my preview. But it's just, it's still a couple of unanswered questions on what direction Pickett's going to go. Is he going to take that next step?
Yeah, I think he threw in one of his earlier games. He threw 3 of his interceptions there. He definitely got better as the year went on. I think they had a record 3 of 7. That might have been going into the bye, whenever it was. But they finished off the year to end up having the winning record, and that was off the back of Kenny coming in. So I think he's on an upward trajectory. But yeah, you're 100% right. It all depends on how his growth and everything goes.
But he's also got George Pickens, who's going to his 2nd year. He's got a good wide receiver core around him. It's just taking that next step.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, we're going to finish off with them Cleveland Browns.
Which we all know finished 4th in the division.
Absolutely, because,
because we're professionals.
That is all-encompassing wrap-up, which was great. Some key departures, Jacoby Brissett, quarterback. He obviously left. Deshaun is back in. I'm classing, again, Deshaun as an addition. He missed the first 11 games, as we all know, from suspension last year.
Okay.
We're here to talk about football.
We're here to talk about football. Kareem Hunt and Dennis Johnson, running backs, gone. Chris Hubbard, offensive tackle, also gone. Just having a look. It's a cool name. Greedy Williams, cornerback. He's also gone.
Oh, Greedy.
Greedy, yeah. Love it. Then key additions, they brought in quarterback Joshua Dobbs, obviously to sit behind Deshaun. Marquise Goodwin, wide receiver. And Elijah Moore, also wide receiver. And Jordan Atkins, a tight end. Zadarius Smith on the edge as well. Another decent in there. And then at the draft, so as we know, they obviously gave up the farm to get Deshaun last year. So they've given away a lot of their first rounders. I think they're not picking in the first round until 2025. So that's always fan bases always are pretty nervous about that, because you can't get that depth if you're not picking in the first round or even the first 2 rounds, which they didn't in this draft. Their first pick was in the 3rd round at number 74. They took Cedric Tillman, the wide receiver out of Tennessee. Next pick in the 3rd round again, pick number 98, Siaki Ika, defensive tackle out of Baylor. And then their 3rd pick, DeJuan Jones, offensive tackle from Ohio State, in the 4th round at pick 111. Yeah.
Just a quick one. You just reminded me I should have mentioned it earlier, but completely off topic, but it was the Deshaun Watson suspension that reminded me. The Commanders today have been officially sold. So that's officially gone through. All the owners voted, and that's officially gone through. So that's huge for the Commanders. That terrible reason why you reminded me, but that just reminded me. On to the Browns. A notable, they've got the Hall of Fame game this year against the Jets. So they'll be starting earlier than most teams in the preseason, which can go, again, either way. But it'll be good, I think, for them to be able to get Deshaun Watson, just working with those wide receiver core and moving forward again. They got a week 5 bye, so real early bye. And the 3 games that I think will be huge for them is week 12, 13, and 15. So they're at home to the Broncos, then away to the Rams, and then at home again to the Bears. So 3 games, I think, if they're serious, they should be definitely winning. And again, that back end of the season, just getting in a bit of a roll, maybe pushing for playoffs. But, so that's them.
Yeah, I think the excuses of Deshaun being rusty and obviously missing so much football, they're kind of gone now. He played the last 6. He's got a full preseason and OTA, like all that sort of stuff under his belt, and he's got a pretty good wide receiving core there in Cooper, Moore, and Peoples-Jones. That's pretty solid. And then obviously having Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford,
and you got Nick Chubb, exactly right. He's an absolute
Nick Chubb. So really complements the throwing game really well.
It might be controversial, but I don't know if I'm all in on Watson. Because I don't know if he's ever going to get back to that 2019 standard where they did throw everything at him. So last season, he held on to the ball before throwing it for 3.13 seconds. No other QB was above 3.
I heard that stat,
which is pretty crazy. So he's obviously you've got the rust, you had everything else that went on before the season. Obviously, it's going to be in your head. But when you're actually playing football, you should be just playing football. And to be that almost indecisive, that could go on the team that you've got on the field and them not getting open. But also,
it's so long to get through his checkdowns and everything. It's
he's taking a long
time. Is it also trust, trusting in, coming back after two and a bit years of not really playing, just getting the trust in the wide receivers? That's why I reckon the early game against the Jets, whether he plays, we had that drama last year where Josh Jacobs played and everyone went, wow, we're getting rid of him in the Raiders, but he ended up going on an absolute tear and having an awesome year. So whether Deshaun plays in that game and gets, just that continuity that I think they need.
I think he should. Obviously, he's a massive name, massive contract. But for the way that he ended the season, it wasn't great. By any means, it wasn't a good team to watch because it was quite ugly football. So if you take him into next season, he really needs to try and get back to the way that he was playing. Otherwise, there's going to be some serious questions thrown at him.
What do you know much about their defense, Macca?
They're always a solid.
Not a lot of huge names there, like Myles Garrett, obviously, but
he is a huge name. He was an absolute beast. They brought in
Myles Garrett, probably 2 of the bigger names in there, but
bringing in Za'Darius, he's an older player. He was at the Packers for a few years, and
he's one of those couple veteran heads.
But I think he'll also offset Myles Garrett quite nicely, which could mean Myles Garrett has another bigger year. He is an absolute beast, Myles Garrett. If you ever seen him, he's 7'21", he's enormous. And he's the one that always rocks the QB, the sacks that he's got on his jacket. But their defense is always, it's the dog pound. It's a ground and pound kind of defense. So they're always solid. They're just not, they haven't had the QB on the other side. They had Baker that took them to the playoffs the other year. Was it the Browns? Yeah. But then they shipped him out it just didn't make sense. The front office has not helped. Their defense has been their core. The front office hasn't helped them in any way, shipping around quarterbacks and things like that. So, it just goes back if their defense offense can, play some actual football instead of being, their key player out for 11 games and then coming back and just not really firing. Yeah. So having a full preseason, getting the early game, I think that Hall of Fame game is bigger this year than it is for any other years for what they need, I reckon.
Yeah, they need the wins on the board early.
Yeah. All right, that's going to lead straight into our predictions. But before we get there, the other sponsor of the podcast is huge, American Connection. Therefore, all your on-field stuff, it's absolutely amazing what they do have. And I reckon they've just brought out a fresh range too. Like we said, seeing down at Croydon.
Kit.
Yeah. All the kit that the boys were wearing down there, and it all had AK written all over it. American Connection on Instagram or .com.au is where you're going to find them. 10% off with the code Any Given Sunday. If you can't find them, Connection with a K. If you can't find them, just go to our socials and they're all there. You can't miss them. So, Danny, you've got the predictions this week. I've got the unders, overs, and the dollar value for the winners.
And I'm blind. I'm making blind predictions, so let's do it.
Yes. So I also dove deep into the schedule and how the teams perform, the pickups, the drop-offs, everything. So I actually had Browns once again coming in last because I do not have faith in Watson improving, as I just spoke about. So I've got them at 8 and 9. I've got the Steelers.
Do you want me to tell you what the actual is? Well, you got 8 and 9, so the under/over is 9.5.
Yeah, I'm going under.
Give me that under.
I don't have faith in them getting 9 wins. Like, yeah, that's the thing with this division. Like, it is tough, and you have to face all the other teams, and they are relatively close. Like, the Bengals and Ravens are obviously going to always stand out at the top. But like, to play the Steelers in Pittsburgh is never going to be an easy game anyway. Or to play the Browns in Cleveland, still not going to be an easy game. So I think no matter what, like, these teams having to face each other is almost like their own detriment.
Yeah.
Next, though, I had the Steelers matching their record of last year. They do have a relatively easy schedule compared to some of the other teams in there, but I feel like Kenny probably just needs another year under his belt. His leap from year 2 to year 3, I think, is going to be a lot bigger than his leap from year 1 to year 2. So I've just got them at 9 and 8.
8.5 is the official.
Yeah, so bang on. So I'm just going to go slightly over on that one.
Cardi?
And then
I'll take the over.
Yep.
And then
he doesn't have losing seasons. Okay.
Yeah, that's probably why it's 8.5.
As much as I don't know much about the Steelers, he is one of my favourite coaches, though.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin, he's a beast. Yeah. That was a big chat with Jordan Berry about how good he is and just the way he goes about things and make sure that you know that, across all three, special teams, offense, defense, that he is there, he is watching, he's taking notes. Even if it's just in the background, he is huge. So that's where I'm a little bit maybe Kenny Pickett having that full preseason under Mike Tomlin as well. Might be a bit bigger of a jump than you're thinking.
Which I'm all for. Like, I love Kenny Pickett. I reckon he's a great quarterback, and I do actually want to see him succeed. Yeah. I just don't know if it's just hard. So some of those games I was going through, I'm like, that's a 50-50. That's a 50-50. So I gave them half the 50-50s, and that's how they ended up on 9 and 8. They're still going to take out that winning record. I've got faith they're going to take out that winning record.
20 in a row.
Yeah, so they can have the 20 in a row, which is incredible. Absolutely incredible stat. And then next I had the Ravens. Now, the Ravens, to me, have like the biggest question mark on will Lamar stay healthy? Will the new wide receiver room, actually perform to the way everyone's expecting him to? It is going to be tough, but I do have, like when Cass was saying, when Lamar is playing, so as long as he's healthy and he is playing, he's got a lot more to play for now, and he's got that contract with so much guaranteed money, I think he's not going to really leave anything on the line. So I do have them finishing at 12 and 5.
Whoa, 10.5 is the under those.
I'll take the over still, but totally agree with Danny. Depends so much on Lamar's health, but I think also if Odell can stay healthy as well is a big factor.
And Zay Flowers, how big he's going to be as well.
Being a rookie. So, yeah, a lot of question marks. I will take the over, but just tentatively, I think.
10.5 is still a lot of wins.
Yeah.
12 and 5 probably gets you in the playoffs, really.
I'm expecting him to be back in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think they've made too many moves this offseason. Lamar's got his massive contract. He's got too much that he needs to prove as well to show that it was worth that giant deal. So I think he's going to be like, look, this is why you gave me the money. I'll show you. He's like, I'll take you. And like we were saying before, like Odell and Lamar having that chat of like, I'm coming to you so we can go to the Super Bowl. Like they're like every team's Super Bowl or bust, but they really are Super Bowl or bust. They're that one step up. They're ready to compete and they're ready to compete now. And like I know a lot of people like online, like a lot of reporters and stuff, they're actually having Ravens take out the division, which I can't see them doing that. But they definitely, to me, they're above they'll get that 11 win. So obviously I'm taking the overs. And then obviously topping the division, the Bengals, I think Joey Burrows, he wants that Super Bowl ring. He is going to be coming out, I reckon, this season, and hopefully the quarterback, the Netflix series, follows him for this next upcoming season, because I feel like they need to. There's going to be such a big storyline there. Like we said, getting to the AFC Championship twice in a row. He's made it to one Super Bowl, but fell to the Rams. Like, he's hungry. He's ready. That team has continuity, bringing so many players back, so many starters back. So I've got them finishing 13-4.
11.5 is there.
No, I'm happy to smash that overs. 11.5 is not enough. Because they finished at 12-4 last year. You don't think they're going to improve at all on last year?
Well, they'll have an extra game under their belt too.
Exactly. So I'm just saying that extra game was a win.
I'm smashing the overs. I'm thinking like 15-2.
Whoa. You're saying real big here. You don't think that defense getting a little bit smashed though? Or
15-2, baby. And like, I just think this is their time to go, because a couple of the wide receivers are up for contracts and things at the end of next year. So it's just, this is it. Like, they've kept everyone together.
And Joey hasn't been paid yet, has he? So
Joey's due for a contract. He'll get it.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. But that affects everything else as well, though.
Now's the time.
Mm.
And it depends on what he's actually going to do with his contract. Is he going to like hamstring the team by like taking the biggest bag possible, or is he going to take slightly less so they can actually go out and get some more weapons?
I reckon he wants success.
I reckon he wants the trophy.
Yeah.
Lombardi.
The Lombardi.
Yeah, so I was like,
he wants the football on top of that. He wants the football. The points bet people kind of agree with you. They've got the Bengals topping at $2.40. They've got the Ravens at $3.50, which you're saying that could be juicy though for those that are predicting that they're going to take it out. They've got the Browns next at $4.50, and then the Steelers at $5.50. So a relatively close division, but they've got you switched with the Browns and the Steelers, mate.
Yeah, and like I said, I just don't really have faith in Deshaun to come out. Like those stats towards when he actually was playing last season, they were pretty horrific.
They were putrid. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's pretty much all we've got.
I think the Bagels at 240 is pretty juicy as well. Load up on that.
I think it's between them and the Ravens, surely.
Double up, boys.
Yeah, when we get close to the season, I think we're definitely going to have to put some money where our mouth is and pick some of these divisions, which I have done the last couple of years, and one of them I was successful. So, just saying. But yeah, that's all we've got for this week's episode. Some big news on, like I said, the Commanders being sold. The biggest news of all is that our merch store is up. Make sure you check that out.
Don't forget about D-Hop.
Where can we... Don't forget about D-Hop getting signed by... Well, actually, let's talk about that, because that was a bit of a surprise going to the Titans, surely.
Well, he was rumoured to be going there for a long time.
Yeah. But didn't he say the same thing about wanting to go to a team that's going to be in playoff? Like, I don't think everyone's putting... Like, I reckon more people put a line through the Titans than of saying, yeah, they're going to be playoffs.
Okay, weren't you the person who put the biggest line?
I put a fucking red line straight through. We don't even know who their quarterback is yet. Like,
yeah, so yeah, having Tannehill or Malik Willis or Will Levis, like they just really don't know.
Isn't Tannehill? Is he gone? Or is he still there? I don't remember. Haven't we already done this division?
I think last time we talked about it, he was still there, but it's room for them to open up some cap space if they get rid of him.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it's all going to come down. We're jumping back a division, but we spoke about if Will Levis can come out and perform. If he can go and perform, then he'll probably take that spot, and then they'll free up that cap space.
When I saw it, I was a little bit taken back though. Like, I know he went there and they did the big. In his limo, they had him dressed up and stuff like that. But
yeah, I was
obviously they must have fucking worked.
He did the tour there. Did he do a tour up at New England?
Yeah, he definitely did. And that's why I reckon they're the biggest losers out of this.
Yeah, for sure.
Patriots.
It was kind of between the Titans and
interesting to see how would love to have seen him and Mac Jones, the connection there. That would have been
good. Yeah, and I think Mac Jones has got a lot of pressure on him this year as well. So having that extra weapon and D-Hop is an absolute weapon.
But now, at least with Tennessee, they do have an absolute beast on the ground and an absolute beast in the air. So you got obviously Derrick Henry is borderline unstoppable, and then adding Hopkins as well.
It does changing things a lot for that offense, doesn't it? It's not.
I don't have my
Not all on Henry shots. Can you undo permanent market maker?
Nah.
Because now it's going to confuse defense. If you have both D-Hop out there and Derrick Henry, and you set up in a formation where it looks like you either run or pass, those defenses are going to be.
And I think, it's probably going to, having such a grouse run game, which they've had for years now, is only going to help the offense, the air game. So, like, D-Hop's probably going to get more of the ball because everyone's going to be. I think you're going to be more worried about Derrick Henry than you are about there, especially with you don't know who's going to be throwing it. And even in Tannehill, if Tannehill is the QB, he's not renowned for being a big passing QB. Like, he's just really good at turning around and give it to Henry. So I think you're going to be more worried about him. But I think that'll open it up for for Hopkins more because, like you said, they're going to be more worried about Henry.
They complement each other. You can't double Henry. You can't double D-Hop and then just leave Henry. And you can't
not have five. Only have five in the box. Henry's just going to have he'll have 100 yards every week if that's going to be the case.
It just complements each other, so it's good.
Maybe we have to go back and redo that. No, I still think the Jags are still the top of that division. But all right, boys, we're talking a lot too much dribble. Danny, who did we decide we're going with next week?
Links to the merch store.
Yes, they're in you'll find them. Where will we find them? They're on Twitter.
There'll be one on this episode. They'll be on our Instagram.
And Twitter.
On Facebook.
It's actually pinned to our Twitter profile. So if you missed the post, it's actually pinned to our Twitter profile now. So if you just go to our profile, it's the number one tweet.
Yeah.
It's the merch store.
Yeah, beautiful. And make sure that you follow us on all of these socials, anygivensunday.au on Instagram, AGSAU podcast on Twitter. We're all on Twitter. You can find us. We interact. We love getting around it, especially Danny. He loves the Jets supporters the most. We've got YouTube. That's huge. Make sure you like us, subscribe, set the little bell so you know when we do come out. This will be out. It is Friday. This will be out immediately.
It'll be out today.
We also, yes, it'll be out in 20 minutes as soon as I get it all done. Tuesday we'll have the Berry interview out. The boys that was a great chat. We'll put that out immediately. I feel like there's something I'm forgetting, but
next week,
who do we decide we're going to go with?
So we are going to be going with the NFC West, which is made up of the 49ers, the Rams, Cardinals, and Seahawks.
Cardi's boy, Gino.
Juicy little is my boy.
Yes, nice. Well, good luck, Cardi, if all does happen in the next few days. Thank you. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.
Sounds good.
All the best.
Yeah, thanks for that.
No one wants it? All right, go the Packers.